Hi, I'm Mark Sievers, and this is From My Kitchen to Yours. Today I'm going to show you how to make my version of a classic, thyme and white bean soup with a fresh parsley pesto. It's one of those soups that on a cool, crisp autumn afternoon or chilly winter evening will warm both you and your tummy. And best of all of the ingredients are found at any local grocer. So I have my ingredients prepped. Let's get started. Okay friends, we're going to get into making my thyme and white bean soup. First we need beans. So I've soaked 1 pound of dry navy beans with enough water to cover them by 1 inch overnight in the refrigerator. And I'm going to drain them. Make sure those are nice and drained, and then I'm going to set it aside. So far, we're good. So next I'm going to get my onions started. So I have a large heavy bottom pot set over medium heat, and I'm going to add in 1/4 cup of extra virgin olive oil. And I'm going to let that get a little bit warm. And what I have here, I have 4 cups of roughly chopped yellow onion. You don't have to worry about them being perfectly uniform because they're all going to get pureed later. So that's the good part. I'm going to add all of my onions to my hot oil. Perfect. Give them a little toss to coat them. And I'm going to set my timer for 18 minutes. And you want them to be nice and tender and translucent, not brown. And you want to stir them every couple minutes. So my onions are cooking away. Still have another 15 minutes. So I'm going to prepare everything that I need to finish off the soup after these onions are done. So I need a few things. I need 10 cloves of chopped garlic. So I have that in my little prep bowl all set aside. And I'm going to make a little herb bundle. And this is going to be for the soup to flavor the broth, get into the beans. And I have 10 sprigs of thyme, roughly. Doesn't have to be perfect. Nice, robust bundle. And 1 large stalk of rosemary. I'm going to take a piece of kitchen string and I'm going to lay the bundle right down the middle and then tie it up nice and tight. Just a little knot. And then that flavorful little bouquet garni is the French term for it. It's going to be put into the stock with my beans, and that's going to get all those yummy flavors of thyme and rosemary into my soup. And then to fish it out, all I have to do is look for the string. Okay, so my onions are finished. They are nice and tender and translucent. They have not darkened in color, so that's perfect. I'm going to add in my garlic, and I'm going to let that garlic cook for 2 or 3 minutes. You want to keep your eye on the garlic though, because you don't want it to burn. Burnt garlic is not so good, especially in this fabulous soup. Time to add my vegetable broth. And I'm going to add my bay leaf and my little herb bundle, nestle that in there. And then I'm going to get my beans. I'm going to add those. Give that a nice big stir. Set the timer for 35 minutes, and then you'll have soup. Voila. Oops, that's not the timer. That's the timer. So I told you I was going to make some fresh parsley pesto to go on top of my soup. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do now. This parsley pesto idea came along because the soup itself is very earthy and has a great kind of earthy texture, and I wanted something that was really going to add some brightness to the soup. So rather than just a dash of parsley, I thought parsley pesto. It's really easy. So I have Italian flat leaf parsley. I think that flat leaf parsley has more flavor than curly parsley, but if you only have curly parsley available, use what you have. I need about 2½ cups of parsley. And then to this, I'm gonna add 1/4 cup of pine nuts. I'm gonna add 1/2 cup of freshly grated Parmesan cheese. 1 teaspoon of freshly cracked black pepper. Perfect. I love things peppery, so you can use less, you can use more. And I'm gonna add about 1/2 teaspoon to 3/4 teaspoon of salt. The Parmesan already itself is salty, so you wanna be careful with your salt there. Lid on. Perfect. And I wanna show you what this looks like. It's kind of like coarse parsley leaves and nuts. And now we're gonna turn this into pesto. Put your lid back on your food processor and get your feed tube ready. And I have 3/4 cup of extra virgin olive oil. Turn my food processor on. And then I'm gonna slowly drizzle it down the feed tube right into the parsley. And turn it off. Parsley pesto, if you've never smelled it before, is so fragrant and fresh. It is really going to be perfect for my soup. Soup has been cooking for 35 to 40 minutes until the beans are nice and tender. And you can tell that they're tender by tasting them. Perfect. It still has a little bit of like al dente quality, so it's not completely mush. That's good. So I'm gonna fish out my sad looking rosemary and thyme. Poor little thing. Got boiled to death, literally. And then my bay leaf. Stick those aside. And then I'm gonna add my salt and pepper. So I didn't add salt to the onions or while the beans were cooking because salt actually will make beans tough and we don't want that. So salt and pepper right in. Now's the fun part. We're gonna ladle all of the soup and the broth into a food processor. Oh, it's so heavy, my muscles. Soup is in the food processor. Lid is on very tight. And I want to pulse it. So I want the soup to have a smoother consistency, but not completely textureless. Personal preference, this is the way I like my soup. I'll check the texture now. Again, this is all personal preference, but the more that you pulse it, the creamier the soup gets, which is what you want. Perfect texture too. You'll know that it's the perfect texture when you look at it. It'll look a little bit thicker, a little bit creamier, and you'll just feel slight little bit of beans on your tongue. That is perfect. This is when you can put it back into the pot, put a cover on it, and save it for later on in the day. Or this is still nice and hot, so I'm gonna serve it right out of, I'm gonna get a bowl and have a bowl now. I like to take a nice big spoonful and just put it right in the middle. It's a good thing I have a back supply of spoons. And then I'll just do a little taste of everything together. I cannot wait for you to make this at home. You are really going to enjoy this one. I love making big pots of my thyme and white bean soup maybe sticking half in the freezer for another day, or serving the entire pot to a big group of family and friends. It also happens to pair perfectly with my roasted garlic and rosemary boule. You can find all of the written recipes for today's soup, pesto, and boule at marksievers.com. I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to spend time with me in my kitchen. Remember, eat well, laugh often, and share the love. Have a delicious day, guys.